I'm sure many of you have asked yourself the question, is what I'm doing with my life really the best thing for me? And I'm sure a lot of you have thought towards the future, asked yourself if what you're doing is good, and looked back on the past however many years of your life and asked yourself if it was all worth it or what would you change, etc. Now, I just turned 26 on Friday, the 17th, and looking back, 26 years is not a lot of time that has passed. More specifically, I recently started my otaku hobby in 2012, which 4 years, a little more than 4 years, is not that much time when you think about it. I've had a lot of strange happenings in my life. I've gone through a lot of depressing moments and really good moments. And overall, I think I've done a lot in my life that I'm really proud of, looking back on 26 years, realizing I'm just getting older and older as time goes on. I've graduated from college. At some point, I had always hoped to go to graduate school. I got a double major in French and Italian language studies. Love teaching. Have taught for over 3.5 to 4 years. Have traveled around the world to many different locations. Studied abroad in Italy. Done a lot with my life that I'm pretty proud of. And done some things I'm not so proud of. Gotten ridiculous student loan debt, which I'm still paying back. Other small, minute things that you wish you could change. And sort of like a parent, I guess I've kind of questioned, and I'm sure many of you questions as well, is what I did right? Would I have changed anything? And of course, there's many things I would have changed. I'm sure my parents themselves have asked the same question. Is there anything we would have changed raising you as a child? Everyone has those doubts in their mind, I think. And overall, at the end of the day, you feel really proud of what you've done and feel you've done the good thing. But looking back, I had this epiphany and had a little bit of a reflection on my life in the past 26 years. And while I was going to make a blog video more recently than this, I decided to do it over the weekend and upload it today before the weekend ended. And most of this is just a reflection on my life. And I won't give you my whole life story, but a reflection on what I want to do with my future and if the decisions I've made so far really are the right decisions. I recently got into an otaku hobby in 2012, as I mentioned, and before that I had many different other hobbies. The first hobby I ever really had when I was a sophomore in college was collecting video games. I was a really big, avid, old game collector. I had a Super Nintendo, Atari, Sega Genesis, Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, every system, you name it. And I bought a lot of old school games that are extremely expensive and was really big on collecting a lot of them, but eventually I got over that hobby and really started to get into board games. Now, Fantasy Flight Games is a company that's based in Minnesota, and they have games like Descent, Arkham Horror, Eldritch Horror, Elder Sign, old Lovecraftian games that I keep mentioning, Game of Thrones, the board game, the living card games, lots and lots of games that they've created that are extremely fun. In fact, my favorite board game of all time is Arkham Horror, and I love the Lovecraft mythos. And I've read lots of his stories and really enjoy the lore and the history behind that. But I spent a lot of money on that hobby and going to the big events and buying all these expensive board games and expansions for those board games. And eventually I kind of just compiled it all and got rid of it and sold most of it. And there's still remnants of it left over, but most of it was sold. And around 2012 was when I got into otaku hobby collecting. And it started out with figurines and eventually expanded into Dakimakura collecting, character good collecting, posters, anything, you name it, even VNs. Not so much on VNs, I guess, as anymore. I used to, and I sold all my VNs to a friend of mine. But for the most part, it was a lot of collecting in otaku goods. And still to this day, I still pre-order things, I still purchase things, and all that jazz. And I've spent probably over a good $10,000 to $12,000 in the last 4 years on that hobby. And to a lot of people, they would question that, myself included. And while I suppose it's easy to stop, it's just something that I've always enjoyed. And I did it because I was happy. And sometimes I've had this epiphany and reflection on my life to say that maybe I'm really not as happy as I could be right now. And maybe that's the reason that it doesn't feel as good to collect anymore. And I question if it's really a hobby I should continue, or if it's something I actually really enjoy doing. I was exposed in it around Katawa Shoujo. It's like most people for VNs, and honestly, that culture just sparked me to be interested in Asia. I'd never been to Asia before that, all over Europe, of course, but never to really Asia. And I wanted to go to Japan, and I saved my money and went and taught, and it was the most incredible experience of my life, and I miss it immensely every day. But then again, I miss my family immensely every day, and looking into my future, I just don't know what the right thing to do is. I joined a website called Fuanovel back in 2014, and I had to build well, I had been in a lot of guild drama from an MMO I used to play, Star Wars The Old Republic, and I was a world first guild in a 16-man called Severity Gaming, and there's a lot of YouTube videos of us still floating around on the web of our raids, and we were a really dominant group. We had a good guild leader, but there was a particular person and group of people that joined, and eventually drama settled in. I was removed from that guild, and I went into this huge depressive slump, and that was a really hard time for me in my life. It was around when I was 23, which is why 23 was one of the worst years of my entire life, and I was just destroyed during that time because it was one of the most depressing moments of my entire life. I was just not eating properly. I went through some pretty bad, rough times. You can ask any of my friends, they even knew. And it was around the time I was still depressed that I found this website called Fuanovel. And I won't tell you my whole Fuanovel life story. That's not really what this video is dedicated to, but eventually over those 2 years, I was really happy. I was making fun activities for people who seemed to enjoy them, making a lot of new friends on the internet. And don't get me wrong, there's not really a single friend I remember from Star Wars and that guild that I really still talk to today. I mean, my guildmaster messaged me back in October of 2015, and recently when I came back this year in 2016, very early 2016, and that was a surprise. It's not like they ever forgot me, and it's not like the people in that game ever forgot me, but for the most part, I didn't really keep in touch with a lot of them. One of them, a gentleman named Draskell, I still remember his username, and he went on to play a lot of Final Fantasy 14 when I originally joined it as well, and we were grouping, and we used to sell Titan hard mode runs back when it was still in the launch. I still remember those days for the +1 weapons, or the legendary weapons essentially, before they got crazy grinding. And I don't really remember too much about the rest of the game, but the point is that I was in a really good mood when I was in Fuanovel. Leading into 2014 and me going to Japan, I had blog videos going on a YouTube channel I started. I was doing Let's Plays with a friend of mine named Mephisto, who's currently now in Japan and I still talk to, and still reads VNs with me on occasion, which reminds me I need to contact him about that. But there was a lot of good things going on in my life, and I met some awesome people on that website. Differences changed, however, though, and now I don't go to the website anymore. It's just not what it used to be, and a lot of people have their varying opinions about that and what it is. It's, if I'm trying to be selfish, and yeah, I guess you can say I'm kind of selfish, but at the same time, it's not as... I just don't have any creativity anymore, and I feel like I've lost a lot of ability to do things, and it's not because the people aren't interested in what I'm doing, it's just because I've lost a lot of creative spark. I don't know what to do for my YouTube channel anymore. I really just become lazy and play video games all day and just go to work and go through this routine and just collect hobby stuff. And don't get me wrong, like there's some great moments about it. I still talk to some of the people I made friends with on that website. Some of my best friends, I can call them my best friends, are from that website. And they're amazing individuals. Love them to death. Never would have thought I ever would have made friends with a lot of those people on there. And I guess going through that depressive slump after Star Wars and that guild, I felt I found a place that I could call home. I was really pushing myself to go to Japan, saving my money, working, getting the money, and having a great time, posting games, YouTube channel videos, and I wanted to tackle a translation project, and there's so many different things that went through my mind. And now I got to that point that it's just not really as bad as Star Wars was when I was in the guild, but if what I'm doing with my life is really, I guess, worth it, I don't know what my future holds. And I guess I just wish somebody, and don't we all, could come out of the works and just tell me that it's going to be okay. You know, my family is very supportive. My friends are very supportive. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes you just feel that you need somebody to tell you that you're a good person, that you've done so much in your life and have done really good things. And depression, I've said it before, really sucks. Anxiety, stress, PTSD, if you suffer from any of that, it's really difficult to handle, especially since I know I suffer from clinical depression. Probably not as bad as a lot of other people, but to the point that there are big slumps in my life where I start to question a lot of things, and you feel you get better, but then you fall right back into the same depressive pit. Don't get me wrong, it's not as bad as I mentioned as that MMO phase where I wasn't eating and just literally sleeping all day and was extremely depressed. But you still question, you know, you get to that birthday age and you ask yourself, am I doing the right thing? Am I being a responsible adult? Am I still enjoying life? Do I still have the kid left in me? Am I still a good person? And maybe this is something that you'll question for my younger viewers when you get older to my age, but I just want to know if I can have a future I'm going to be extremely happy with. I love making videos on my YouTube channel, I do. I just feel like I don't have any motivation or ideas to come up with anymore. It's like my creativity has waned, and when I was extremely creative for my Let's Plays, for my streams, for my activities I did on websites, for my YouTube channel, everything, it was just so... I had fresh ideas every time. Sure, some of them were really stupid, let's be honest. Not every one of my ideas is amazing, but for the most part, I at least had ideas. Now I just feel I don't have anything. I try to pump myself up to do something productive, and then I don't. Do a Photoshop stream, do a whatever it may be. And I guess I just feel like, and I'm sure many people might feel this when they're depressed, that you enter the state where you think nobody would really notice you if you just kind of disappeared. You know? I mean, I frequent Steam, I frequent my TeamSpeak, Skype, but if I didn't talk to anybody or didn't sign into the Skype or TeamSpeak, not even that, just let's go with TeamSpeak. Let's just go with Skype. Like, you know, do you honestly believe that a lot of people are going to reach out and try to talk to you? Maybe I just feel depressed because I feel like I'm the only one that wants to try to initiate conversations with some of my old friends. I've never actually experienced that before, so maybe it's just something that I'm not used to. I've never had like anyone approach me first and try to start a conversation with me and or say, hey, I really want to hang out. Maybe that's just something that comes with this kind of hobby. There's a lot of introverts, and you know, maybe there's a lot of people that are socially inept or aren't really socially strong when it comes to social skills. Maybe that's just it. But there's a lot of just moments, I guess, I'm reminiscing about that I miss from the past 2 years, and I feel like there's things I would have changed or things I would have done differently. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to find creativity. It's tough to motivate yourself. You make yourself promises, you hype yourself up, you tell yourself you're going to do something, and then you just look at it and you go, it's just not worth it. I just can't sit down and motivate myself. It's kind of like when you play an old video game. You really want to play Super Mario Brothers, and you hook up the old SNES or NES and plug it all in, sit down, get yourself all situated, and the moment you boot it up, you say, I don't want to do this anymore. I'd rather just go browse the internet or something. It's kind of disappointing, And I don't know, I wish I could take a few things back. And I hope my future has something bright in it, because I feel like I'm just getting older and not doing anything really productive with my life. I mean, I haven't even held a job for more than 1 year. I'm constantly moving around, deciding what I want to do, and just accruing money and debt, and it sucks. Student loans suck. So many things I would have wanted to do differently, and maybe I just felt that I needed to reminisce about that on my 26th birthday. Is my hobby worth it? Do I still like what I'm doing? Do I feel I'm doing it just for myself, or do I actually feel joy in it, knowing I can talk to this hobby, or in this case, talk about the hobby with my friends? It's hard. I'm sure a lot of people have gone through that as well. I don't know. There's a lot of interesting thoughts in my mind, and old friends I wish I could say hi to and chat with. I've just always been like that. That's one of my weaknesses. I care too much about what other people think, and I want to make them happy. It's really good, because when they're actually happy, you have amazing positive vibes, but as soon as negativity comes in, or depression or disappointment, it affects me a lot. I've said it before. It's happened many times. I don't know, I just feel that maybe I made just a lot of wrong decisions in my life. I've reflected about this sort of when I was in Japan, but I just don't know what I want to do going forward. And I feel like I'm just going to continue in this routine and lose a lot of good friends that I've met over my past 4 years of my life. That sucks. And that's to say, like I mentioned, not everything's bad in my life. I recently acquired a new girlfriend who is an amazing individual, and love talking to her. So I have good things that are going for me, but I also just have moments I question, This hobby itself, is it wrong? I've lived in Japan, and a lot of people say that otakuism's wrong, and I've made videos saying you shouldn't let other people judge what your hobby is, but, when you have half-naked women and or perverted things in your room, it's kind of hard to justify, your personality. But to be honest, like, not a lot of people have had problems with it. I kind of feel like I just want to do a project, something creative. I feel like I want to prove somebody wrong, or prove myself that I can do something. Maybe write a bunch of thank you cards to all the people I met on Fuanavel, to all my old friends I met in the past 4 years, and just say thanks for just being awesome. Or just treat somebody to a gift and say, you know what, take this $10. It's not much, but go spend it on something that makes you feel happy. I don't know, just maybe the gift of giving, something. And I can do it. I do have the tools to do it. I just feel like maybe I just need that extra push and confidence boost from not just my family and close friends, but friends that have felt maybe I've changed their lives. Maybe I've changed. I want to say I've changed somebody's life for the better. And that's always what I've always wanted to do. Just to have somebody say, you've changed my life and led it down a direction that has made me really happy and a good individual. maybe I just feel like that's, from a religious standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, whatever you want to believe in, as my goal in life, to make someone feel that I've led them in the right direction and helped lead them to a good life. So I don't want to rant too long in this video. It's been over 20 minutes, and I'm sure listening to me for 20 minutes is not something people really enjoy. But I do appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I will see you probably sometime in the future. So thanks for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and we'll see you around. Bye.